Welcome to another G4 Guitar Teacher Chat. What we're going to do today is go through our usual format, which is ask the guys some questions and then just discuss the solutions to problems or challenges, as well as come up with ideas and just generally share some insights. So today, so far Alex is here, and I'm pretty sure Joachim will be joining us shortly. Alex, what question would you like to cover today?
Let me see. I'm sort of making my way just through the grind of getting this new school going, and I'm kind of setting it up so that it's all kind of moving along. It's mostly just hack work that I've done before. So I think, to be honest, I would be more interested in just hearing what you sort of have planned for the future, because all this stuff I've done already, I'm really just repeating. So, you know, it's not that I can't do things better, but I feel almost like my time would be more valuable just thinking forward. Do you know what I mean?
Yep, sure. Okay, no worries. So really what you're looking for is just maybe some words of wisdom today, some insights,
Sure.
some ideas.
Okay. Next steps, that sort of stuff.
Cool. Excellent. Yeah, I've always got plenty to talk about, as you know. Joachim, have you got any particular questions, challenges you want to discuss today? I'm not getting any sound from you there, Joachim. Right, so just keep working on your sound and we'll come back to you in a minute. Okay, so let's sort of dive in. One of the things that we're looking at the moment is generating some online income as well, so to supplement your business. So it's not just about your teaching. Your school is the core of what we do. So we're certainly not suggesting. I'm certainly not suggesting that you sort of forget all that and go off and try and sell products online. What it's really about doing is leveraging what you already have, and also maybe tapping into the wider market, because as our reputation starts to grow, which it obviously is, and part of our networking power is that more and more people will hear about us. We get more credibility. We're upgrading the websites. We're always upgrading the method. There's so much going on all the time as a network that the value for our students and anybody really who wants to learn guitar just keeps going up and up and up as we add videos, as we improve the resources that we have. What people can buy today for, I think it's about $47 on our website is 10 times better than what it was just a couple of years ago when they were paying more for it. So it's gotten cheaper and it's gotten better, which is just the nature of technology and the internet. But what we're offering is quite unique. So I think that offering it, because in any industry really, especially where there's education involved, 90% of people, I'm just grabbing a number here, but the majority of people are do-it-themselves kind of people. They want to do it their own way. They want to learn it themselves. They want to do it in their own bedrooms. And that's why learning on YouTube is one of the most popular things that people do. Especially with guitar, but not just guitar, but other hobbies as well. Do-it-yourself learning on YouTube is huge. And the main problem with that is there's no structure to it, so people are kind of randomly running through videos. If you're looking for a specific thing to learn, maybe you want to learn a specific song, then YouTube's great for that. You can find someone who can teach you the song. You might have to go through a few videos to find the one that's right for you. But there's also the other crowd, which is really what Apple and iTunes discovered. And I'm one of those kind of customers where I don't want to sort of spend my time. My time is more valuable than trolling through lots of free stuff to find what I want. I'd rather go and pay for something and get it now, so I don't waste an hour or two searching for things. So the G4 guitar method is really, as far as I'm concerned, meant to be for the beginner, and it's meant to be something that's going to put it all together in one place for them, so they don't have to sort of go trolling through the internet. So for $47, bang, they have everything they need and everything that they want to be able to actually learn guitar in one place. So that's really what that's about. So what I really going to talk about more over the coming months is how you can do that and add it to your business. So you're going to get people who are going to respond to you. And like I said, the majority of those people actually won't come and learn with you. What they will want to do is they still want to learn guitar, and if you have an option for them where they can buy the method, which is what we're rolling out now, they can buy it for $47, then they can proceed to learn it themselves. There can be videos there, and then you can also sell them other things. For those of you in Australia at the moment, you might look at selling them a guitar, accessories, all those kind of things. So they can become a different kind of customer to you, more like a retail customer than a student. And a lot of businesses, the retail is the big part of it, and the education is kind of the back part of it. And so what we're doing now is we're kind of reversing that a little bit by our education has been our main business, but adding the retail to it now will allow you to generate more income. So Alex, have you got any questions around that? I just wanted to kind of introduce you to that today.
Yeah, so just in terms of the payment structure, because obviously you own the rights to the material, how would that be diversified? I mean, is that, how would that sort of work? Would we be getting sort of half of that, or sort of?
No, you get 100% of it. It's all yours. See, you're a licensee, so to speak. Oh. So you're licensing the G4 method, which gives you permission to sell it as a licensee. So you're giving it away anyway to your students who come to you. You're printing it out, giving them all the materials. So this is just a way for you to do the same thing online. And the world's a big place. There's a lot of people out there. I sell, just to give you an idea, I sell about one a day of those through our website. So yeah, if you guys you won't be selling one a day because you don't have the same traffic that I do, but if you want to learn more about how to get traffic and online traffic generally, it could actually become really more profitable than your teaching business, and I really mean that, because once you bring in a customer, once they buy something from you, they're much more likely, many times more likely to buy again from you than someone who's never bought from you, and that's because there's that trust now. And so they buy the method, then they want something else. They might want a capo, so they go through your link to get to Artist Guitars. They might want a tuner, they might want some more books to go with their learning, and then eventually they may want some lessons, they may want online lessons. So there's lots of things that you can go out to them on. And if you use something like Amazon, for example, Amazon doesn't give you a big percentage, it's quite a small percentage, but even so, if they shop on Amazon, then Amazon might start offering them other products as well, that groceries, furniture, everything that you can imagine. And sure, you're only going to get 4 to 6%, I think it is, but it's better than nothing, and it adds to your stream. And if you're the one who brought that customer in, then yeah, you can keep getting. And if you use your imagination, there are lots of things that your potential students want. I'm not suggesting that you start pumping out lots of different things to try and sell them anything under the sun. Really, what I'm just suggesting is focus on what we do, but as your clients become mature clients, then they're more likely to look at other things that you do, and you become really their best solution because they're already in the mode of what you're teaching and thinking. And if you get it right, which is really what it's about, it's like with you guys, I'm not offering you things that are not applicable to you. I'm not going to try and sell you things that just for the sake of profit. What I look at is what you guys really need, and then I think about, well, what can I do to fill that hole? And that's where the FileMaker solution, which I'm working on at the moment, is going to be it's going to be awesome. It's really going to speed up the way, especially if you've got a lot of students. It will really help you to quickly find your availability, find students on your timetable. I've now been able to link it up to the timetable. So you go to your contacts, and maybe you look for a student. Say his name's Fred Smith. You go and find Fred Smith in your contacts, and then there's a button you can click on there that'll go and find him on the timetable. So it'll throw you over to the timetable, and there it will be. So you're not scrolling through your timetable, you're not having to search separately on your timetable. The contact and on the timetable, they're linked now, so that's going to make it really easy. And these are, we're talking seconds here, but when you're doing it 50 times a day, it's a lot of time, it's a lot of frustration. And when you've got people on the phone who are waiting to book in or wanting to change the time or something, it just speeds up the whole process and makes things much easier for you. So, cool. So I'll just Roger, welcome. Thanks for dropping in.
Thank you. Nice to meet you guys.
Alex Rogers in the US, and Alex is in Sydney. Roger, you're in California, correct?
Yes.
Yep, excellent. And Joachim's in Paddington in Sydney, so he's kind of right in the heart of Sydney.
Very good.
The format that we have here is, everyone can ask a question, and then what I do is try and go through and answer each of those questions one at a time. Did you have a question or a topic, or you don't have to have one if you just want to listen in today, but if you've got a question, I can certainly put it on the list and we can go through it.
When a student starts, what accessories do they need? I know the footstool is something that's important. Metronome to start off, tuner, music stand, all that kind of stuff. And what's your take on, when they need the stuff? Do they need it all right away? That kind of thing.
Okay, cool, excellent. Generally, with students, I get them to get a footstool because I want them to get in the right position and so forth. And I used to keep footstools on hand, so when they came in, I would just say, look, it's $20 for the footstool.
Okay.
And they can buy their own if they like, but I would just say, this is, and I would show them how to sit and so forth. So the footstool, a handful of picks. I generally say, look, don't put yourself in a position where you run out of picks. Don't just have one pick. Grab 10 or a dozen of them.
Right.
And the metronome. You can use them in apps and so forth. A lot of people do, but sometimes grabbing the phone and even just the distraction of the phone is not a good thing. So I think having a separate metronome is always good, and they're not expensive. And the tuner, so the tuner, metronome, footstool, picks, pretty well covers it. Maybe have a spare set of strings as well, just in case they need a new string. Alex, can you suggest anything?
Yeah, I was going to say that the PGM method is always good to have on hand, just for reading stuff.
Yeah, cool. So they have the starter kit and everything. So the G4 starter kit with the PGM.
I've got a copy of that along with. I just put together my first kit today, and put some flyers around and whatnot. So hopefully we'll get some phones ringing, but we'll see what happens.
Yep. Well, it's the one of the other guys who just joined. He just went out and did his run 2 days ago, and he's got his first student starting.
Excellent.
So it works, but it depends on the location, depends on other factors. Generally, just with the flyers, as a kind of a general rule, when you do your first couple of thousand, you might not get any calls. But what happens is that once you've done a certain amount, maybe 5,000, it starts to even out. So so sometimes it's a bit slow to start with, and also because people don't know you're new. So it's like, oh, what's this? And so it sometimes takes a little while for the community to get familiar with who you are, and then the calls should start coming in. Okay, cool. Joachim, you got some sound there now?
Where are you?
All right. Still can't hear you. Sounds like the mic's not working. If you want to type in a question, that's fine. Just type it into the chat screen. Yep.
I'd like to, since you brought up the marketing funnel sort of stuff, that's definitely something I'd be interested in learning from this point forward, because that's really where the biggest gap in my knowledge is, and obviously that's applicable to anything I would want to do going forward. So
yeah, and it's really huge. I mean, that's basically what I do. Okay, now I'm an online marketer, and that's why I go to these online marketing seminars and spend a lot of time learning about it. It's where it's all going. I just saw just to sort of bring Roger up to date. There's a company in Australia called Myer, Roger, and they're kind of like I guess like a Walmart or something like that, where they're kind of the largest retailer in Australia. They own majority of the supermarkets and department stores and so. Yep. So but basically what they've done now is that they've switched on to the online market, and they're going global now. So they realise that selling retail just in Australia is very limited, and the businesses that are really growing are the businesses that are going online and leveraging the global market, and which is what I've done with G4. It's, I've gone global with it. So the idea is, you guys, it's a big world out there, and we're talking billions of people, and we're also talking a lot of people in countries like China that are coming into this guitar thing. China 20 years ago, most Chinese people probably didn't play a guitar, but today it's very popular in China as they come to our sort of way of thinking. So the idea is that, we want to kind of tap into those markets and make sort of G4 more than just learning from a teacher in a location, make it available online. So the thing is to build, it's about building your list. It's about having a website that looks good, that really captures, and that's why I've upgraded the websites, or we're currently upgrading the websites to the Thrive themes, because these guys are really, as far as I can see, in terms of templates, are the best at this. They do a lot of research, invested heavily into it. So just going to ride on their advice and their templates, and that way we should be able to test different things, find out what's going to convert, get you more people converting on your website. So that's the conversion side of it, but there's also the traffic side of it, and that is how to get people to your websites in wherever you are. So I think what we want to do is, not get too far away from the core, because otherwise you can be chasing something that is not necessarily going to bring you a lot of money anytime soon, and you certainly don't want to stop looking after the students you've got and the local clientele that you've built up. So, but if you want to think about some traffic strategies, getting those kind of things to get more people onto your website, then just think about the marketing perspective of a global audience. So when people, for example, if you want to get some traffic, making videos is a very good way. YouTube videos is probably, in my opinion, for guitar teachers, is the strongest way to get people to find you. And the reason is that YouTube is more of an interest to guitar students who wanted to learn. Anyone who's kind of a visual learner, which guitar students tend to be, you will find that going to something like YouTube will be more beneficial to you. And plus, Google owns YouTube, so they're going to be more, friendly as far as appearing in the search. The other thing about so the other thing about YouTube is that it gives you a more personal kind of feel for people. So when they see, they know you immediately. And I think some of you guys here saw my videos before you actually talked to me in real life, and so it gives you a sense of, occasionally I get guys who go, look, I feel like I know you. There's a guy that just joined in the US who said, I feel like we're best friends. He said, I've been watching your videos for 2 years now, and I know you really well. So that's the kind of thing, and by these videos, which I give access to people who join my list, they can watch and see what we talk about. It really will build up familiarity for you, and it's something you can also do with your own classes. You could film yourself teaching. If you don't want to film the student, or if the student doesn't want to be filmed, that's okay. Just set the camera up so it faces you and it's not on the student, and that way you can really transfer. And I know one particular G4 teacher who records every single lesson that he does on video, and he uploads them, and then he allows his students to go back and watch them. So if you want to do something like that, then you can leverage your time. And that's really about where we are today. The world, the business world that we live in today is never been better for leveraging. And so when you consider that, if I go back and think, wow, for years and years and years I taught and didn't record any of that. I didn't, even with the method and the way I taught, none of that was recorded. I can't leverage any of that. All I've got is my experience. We don't have anything substantial to leverage from that, that first 20 years. When I started the G4 guitar method, that was really when I started building something that could be leveraged, and now today I can leverage it, across the world. And that's really the premise to capturing video, capturing as much material as you can. And that's what I've found with the most successful online marketers, is they're really good at capturing everything. What they do, just to give you an example, is that they will go to do a seminar, right? There'll be a guest speaker at somebody's seminar. This is how a lot of them start. And at that seminar, they'll talk about, a particular strategy. They might talk about, Twitter or YouTube or something that they've sort of investigated, or AdWords or Facebook, so forth. And that's what their topic is. They then record them on the stage. They then take that and they add it to their member site. And what they do is they start doing more of these seminars. They add it all to the member site, and then they sell at their seminars membership to their member site. So you can go back and watch all their old videos. Plus they add new ones and new content. So they're constantly building the content. And then what they do is things like they just take the audio out and make an audio recording of it. Or they take out, they make a slideshow, which they do at their presentation, and then you can get the slides, so you get the actual whole slideshow. They might get it transcribed into text and then written into a book or something like that. So they keep taking the content that they're putting together, and it's as an example, what you guys can do. If you get a student who asks a question, you take that question, you turn it into a blog post, and then you create your blog. Before you know it, you'll have 100 blogs, and they'll all be based on questions the students ask. And that way, what you're doing, you could answer the question in text, or you could do a video to answer that question. And so then you build up this blog that's of interest to your audience, to your kind of audience, to your beginner student, and you will build a following, and you'll have your own show. You'll have your own sort of following, and then those people will then want to know more about you and know what you're offering, and then they'll support you. You guys, I don't know how many of you know, but Justin Sandico, who's in the UK, as an example, that's basically what he did. He started doing, showing people how to play songs online, and built an audience from there, and then from there he releases things like he'll do a metronome tuner or something like that as an app, and then he'll sell it for $5. And he's got an audience of thousands and thousands, like probably, he's got millions of hits on his videos, so gives you an idea of how many people follow him. So when he releases something like that, guess what? He probably makes $50,000 overnight, just from that one app. He gets asked to come and do special appearances where he gets paid thousands of dollars to do that. Someone, he's had people like Steve Vai appear on his show, and he's not a bad guitar player, but he's certainly not on the level of Satriani or Vai or these guys. But these guys are wanting to do videos with him because he's got such a big audience, and he's tapping into the beginner students, a lot of who don't know about Vai and those guys. They're more for players. They're the players. So by them going into that, they tap into this whole big audience. So these strategies, by the way, aren't overnight things. Sometimes you get lucky, but they're things that if you keep building and building and building on, then you will create an audience for you that's worldwide, that will want to know more about you, and then will become loyal subscribers to whatever you're offering. And of course, you need to offer value. You can't just it's not about showing them how to play a couple of basic songs. You need to have a unique angle. You need to be something that you need to relate to certain people. So what I would say to look for in this case is what it is that you can do that's a little bit different to what everybody else is doing. All right. So just work out what that would be. What's your G4? As a network, we've got a lot of leverage. We've got a lot of strength there because we are based on the G4 method. Other teachers can't do that. If they're not part of G4, they can't leverage what we've already got. So what you want to do is really be a G4, still a G4 teacher on there, but with your unique angle. What is it that about G4 that you feel is your strength and that you can offer, that you can do a little bit differently? Okay. All right. I hope that gives you a bit of insight just to get started. Joachim, now, welcome, Stu. Good to see you here.
Hey.
Stu's from Melbourne, guys. In case you haven't met him. Okay, so Joachim, do you have a question?
Yes, I have 2 questions.
Yep.
So I was just thinking, because my flyers are soon running out, so I was thinking of making just one flyer for both Penrith and Paddington, and then create a 1300 number. So I was wondering if there was any pros and cons around having that. And then the other questions I had was with sitting in and talk and sort of just greeting people when I come in. Is that like when there's running group lessons? Is that the best use of my time, or would that be what's the best to focus on at the moment?
So let's go with the first question, then I'll come back and ask you a second question, just so.
Yeah.
So with your first question, you were wondering whether to put two questions in that. Wondering whether to put 2 locations, just so the other guys know. Joachim's got 2 locations. By the way, Roger, all 3 of these other guys have got 2 locations. So just so you understand.
Very good.
Where they're at. Okay, so Joachim, you're thinking about putting the 2 locations on one flyer. I don't see any problem with that. I used to do that as well. I used to put 5 locations on one flyer. It looked good because it just looks like you're a bigger organisation. So yeah, I don't have any problem with that. As far as the phone number, again, I don't see any problem with it. I think that it's just as easy for them to ring that number as any other number. So.
Right.
All right. So your second question, can you just say that again?
Yeah. So we talked about with Emma's suggestion of sitting in during all the lessons and talking with students when I come in and just build a relationship with them. Would you say that would be the best use of the time right now, or like is there anything else that could be more important than doing that?
In your case, that's probably the most important thing you can do. Building up business, it just gives you a backup, because there are going to be some students, for whatever reason, who are unhappy. It's not necessarily they're unhappy with the teacher. I'll make this very clear. In fact, most of your teachers are doing really well. Emma was very impressed with your teachers. What it's more about is that they're frustrated, or they don't feel that guitar's for them, or they're losing confidence. All these things that kind of account for why students drop out. If you are there and you're talking to them, these conversations come up, and then you're able to talk about them and solve them, and you become aware of them, and they become aware that it's a normal process. Normalizing things, and that, I use that term a lot, normalizing a situation for those early students is really important, because when they go, I'll use an analogy. It's like getting on a plane for the first time. You've never flown. Let's say you grew up in the Amazon or something and don't know what a plane is. You walk on the plane, you get on the plane, and all these strange sounds and the roaring of the plane taking off. And you're just there, absolutely frightened to death in that chair. But for the rest of us who know the whole process, we know what to expect. When the wheels come up and we hear the thump, or we hit a bit of turbulence, we don't freak out. We just know that it's part of the journey. And so when you're bringing a student through, and a beginner student, often they don't know the journey. They don't know what to expect. And so when they hit the bumps, then that's when they go, oh, I don't think this is for me. And if you're there to talk to them about the bumps, you can explain to them that it's normal that they're going through, that they're going to have doubts and fears and concerns about whether or not guitar's for them, and it's going to be harder than they expect, etc., etc. You're going to prevent a lot of dropouts. And that's really the prime reason why I had very, very few dropouts, was because I was constantly in conversation. I was also, looking at their body language, was looking at, things like whether they're chatting up for time, filling in their practice logs, all these early signs that really are indicators of whether or not a student is on board or losing confidence, etc. So yeah, I can think of nothing more valuable, especially as you grow. It's a great use of your time, and you'll be worrying less about getting more students if you keep the ones you've got. Okay?
Yeah.
You don't want to lose the ones you've got. And you'll also start to create the momentum of spreading the word about referrals. When people feel, again, like I said, I recommend you watch those shows like Gordon Ramsay and The Prophet in the US. Have you, Roger? Have you seen that show, The Prophet, in the US?
I have not.
We don't get it in Australia, but it's something that I got on the internet through Don in the US, and it looks really good. And basically in these shows, what they do is they show you businesses. They bring in, these guys are the experts. They come in, they look at the business, and they tell them what's wrong with the business. And you watch the business owners in most cases, and they're very resistant to change. That's why Gordon Ramsay uses the F word a lot in his TV shows, because he can't you see? You're so obvious. And when you look at it, we're looking really through the eyes of the the presenter. So we look at them and think, what are you doing? How can you serve that disgusting food? How can you run that kind of operation? But when you're in the middle of it, you're not aware of the things that are going on. Your ego is really tied up in it all. So it's often easier for someone on the outside to look at things, but it's harder emotionally on the inside. So that's where, if you can look at your business and realize that there are very few great restaurants, there are very few great businesses. They're really very rare. But to be a great business is not hard. It takes time, but it's not a hard process. To be a great business, you really just need to serve the people who are your customers, whoever they are. Serve them as you should be. Do what they expected more, and that's what most people are in what I call the job mindset, where they're thinking about how much they're getting paid per hour. They're not thinking about the long-term value of a client. If I sit here and think, oh, my time's worth $250 an hour, and here I'm spending time with you guys, I could be off, consulting someone who will pay me $250 an hour. That's very short-term, narrow thinking. But it is how most guitar teachers operate, how they think, and most people in business think is they're sitting there thinking, wow, I'm only getting paid $50, $60 an hour to be here with this student. I'm not going to go a minute over. And I don't suggest you go over, by the way. That's a different topic. But they don't give any extra. If the student calls them after hours, they get a bit frustrated, like, damn it, I don't get paid for this time, so don't call me. So there's all this kind of, them thinking in the job mentality of how much they get paid by hour, and that comes from paying themselves by the hour. But they charge by the hour, and that's the difference with group teaching. Is you're not charging by the hour. You're leveraging, and even though we recommend 5 in a group for half an hour, which is really, you're going to make plenty of money doing that if you do it right. You can go beyond that to doing workshops, to doing larger groups. You can do stadiums, if you like, of thousands of people all wanting to learn guitar. There's no limit in these kind of situations. It's depending on your situation. But the point that I'm making here is that don't think about your clients in the short term. Think about their value to you in the long term. And when you do, you're going to deliver at a much higher level. You're going to be there for them anytime. You're going to do things that seem over and above. And that's what, when I say to you guys, if you ever got a question, you ever need anything, just send me an email. If you want to Skype, let's do it. So I'm always looking for ways to be more available and deliver more value to you guys, because I'm here because you guys. If you aren't here, I'm not here. I'm out of business. And I think if you can value each and every student to that same extent, you're going to very quickly build a reputation for your students. So the question, and I'll ask this question of all of you, is what's something, and I'll get one thing from each of you, what's one thing that you could do or would like to do that you're not doing now that would give more value to your current students? I'll start with you, Alex. What's something that you could do to give your current students more value without charging them anymore?
Let me see. I could, I suppose, sort of already do encourage them to call me when they have a question. I suppose I could offer a free workshop for my better students. That's something I could do.
Or any of your students offer a free workshop. Yep, okay. Immediately giving them more value. You're not asking for any more money, you're just giving them a workshop, and that adds more value to them. And you might think, it's easy to think, oh, that's an hour of my time, or 3 hours of my time for prep and the rest of it. I'm not going to get paid for it. Do I really want to do it? I'd rather watch the footy on Friday night than do that. Then that kind of thinking is very short-term thinking. Whereas if you think about, I'm going to, I might get 10 students turn up to the workshop, might get 20, who knows. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to add, they're going to stay longer, they're going to be happier, they're going to feel more a part of what's doing, they're going to get to meet some of the other students as well, and you will get paid and you will win long term. That will really pay off for you over time, because I know if you think about it, you can you remember when I came to Paddington, right?
Yep.
Yep. Stu flew up from Melbourne to join us as well, and that experience for you guys, did that feel valuable to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So being there, me being there, I didn't ask for you to pay any extra. I didn't ask you to do anything other than turn up on the day, and that gave you guys more value. All it meant for me was a day out. I had to fly down to Sydney, but I was going to fly down anyway. But that's the kind of thing. If you do those kind of things, it offers more value to your students. So that's the workshop. What would you do?
I would have give them, say that they can call me. This is my number. Call me when you need anything. If anything, I help you with any questions at all.
Okay, cool. So send them all a special email saying, "Yep, call me anytime." Even what you're doing now about meeting and greeting them and being there, that's adding more value. Good. Excellent. Roger, what would you throw into the mix?
Depending on the level of the students, jam sessions have always been kind of fun. It gets people more into what's happening. It gets the attention of outsiders that may then become students. But again, it depends on the level of the student and whatnot. Even Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, you could have a little gathering, a show for the parents or whatnot, parents and friends.
The jam thing is huge. It really does add a huge amount of value to the students, and they often see you in a different light, because now they're in the situation where they're kind of jamming, and then they see their teacher in the mix as well, sort of doing it. The School of Rock, which is mostly in the US, that's how they got started. He was a frustrated guitar teacher like most others, and he couldn't get his students to practice, and then he started doing these weekend jams, and that's where it went. Just sort of, he realized that was the key to it. I think having those jams is a big one, and they don't have to be formal. You can have very informal jams. You don't even have to have a set thing that you're going to do. We've all played in bands. We all know what it's about. Bring them together, and guys, pick up a guitar and let's do it. Let's play. Stu, do we have any more ideas, or we run out of them?
Let me think. Yeah, I think like doing like a showcase concert. That's one thing that I haven't done yet. Yep,
excellent. Yeah, putting a concert together, a project, something that they're working on and working towards, is great. My teacher, when I was a teenager, and this changed my life. I absolutely put down this one experience. He did a rock school program. It ran for 6 weeks, and then at the end of the 6 weeks, we had to get on stage and perform in front of 500 people or something, I remember. And I was, really, really nervous. But it's what I needed to get out of my bedroom comfort zone on the guitar. I'd already been playing drums in bands, so it wasn't like the first time I played drums in front of people, but it was still because I still didn't feel like I was good enough at that time. But he proved to me that I was. He proved to me that I was good enough to keep it together to play in a band. And we weren't playing, Knocking on Heaven's Door. We were playing Owner of Lonely Heart by Yes, Police Song, and a jazz fusion piece. So they were all quite challenging pieces. I very much thought I was out of my depth in the beginning. I still was not totally comfortable, but he pushed me. He really pushed me. I remember I was practicing hours every day to try and be able to do this. But that's the faith of a good teacher, and that's what a good teacher does. They stretch you, they push you out of your comfort zone, and take you to a point where you don't think you could possibly go. And from that point on, that's when I became a professional guitarist. It was because, okay, I've done this now, and now I've got a bunch of guys who, because I had a drummer and a bass player and another guitarist there, took it from there. So I definitely think having those clear goals, having a clear point where they're going to do something, perform something, can really lift a student. And then, so I'll add one more thing, and that is to bring in a special guest. And you'll be surprised how cheap you can get some of these special guests. I think most of you guys are aware of Guthrie Govan. In the UK, with Trevor's managed to organise a workshop with Guthrie, and he will, he will turn up, and I think it's going to cost him the equivalent of something like $500, which is fine. But that's something that he's going to give back to his students. But he's also going to sell tickets, and probably he should be able to recover his money, no problem. Might even make a profit. But even if you bring in a guest and pay for that guest, it's a way of giving value to students way beyond. And that's what my teacher used to do. My teacher was the guitarist for Tom Jones and different people like that when they toured in Australia. He was like an Australian touring guitarist, and he would jump on these tours. But through the process, he met other people. So when quite a lot of artists and that came from America, he would know different musicians, and then he would bring them to do a workshop for us. And Joachim, we did this with Michael Dolce. So as you know, that was good. Some of the students got really inspired by that. Seeing, these, just so Roger, Michael Dolce in Australia he's the guitarist on The Voice, the TV show The Voice. Plays for one of Australia's major artists, and he's a friend of mine. But what we did is we got him to bring his voice band in, the band from The Voice, and perform in front of the students with one of the top contestants. Like she was a singer on the show. And he charged like $400 or something. I can't remember. It wasn't much, but here we are with these top line session musicians at Joachim's premise playing to the students, and what a great experience for them. So okay, cool. So keep looking for ways to add more value. You could it could be in the form of printed materials. Shane, for instance, has just done that, and this is the network. Shane's just done that whole reading book, which is just amazing. I don't know if you guys have checked it out, but it's for the treble clef, and you can give that to your students as a reading tool, and for nothing. You can just say, this is for all the G4 students. Bang, there you go. Things like the parent guide. Just think of different ways that you can add value to what you're doing for as little cost as possible. But yeah, and you can see, from my point of view with the websites, rolling out the websites, then giving you new, fresh-looking, better websites. It's not only good for you; it's good for me. It's good for the whole reputation of G4. But that's again adding more value, adding more leverage to the whole business. So that's really how you do it in terms of becoming different to most other guitar teachers and most other businesses, you need to really keep building on what you've got, keep adding value for your students. Make some videos, do a video and teach them something and say, this is for you guys. Exclusive for your students in the beginning, and then you can add more to it later. Okay. Now, Stu, did you have any question that you wanted to ask?
Yeah, no, not really. I just always seem to miss the Hangout. So today I just saw the message and I'm like, yep, I'm free. I can do it. So so I joined in.
Well, what I'll do then, if does anyone have another question before I go on? No? Okay, cool. All right. So what I'll do in the last 10 minutes is I'll just go through just give you a little bit of introduction to this FileMaker Pro platform and what it is and how it'll work, and it'll be obviously just so you're clear on it, it's not something that I can just give for free, because it requires to be run on a server, and there's a fee that's paid to FileMaker for running it. So it's one of those things which would cost you about $10 a week to operate. But if you've ever been into most businesses where they have to run things to a schedule, so forth, you'll see that they run software. If you want to go and book a train ticket or book a flight somewhere, they run a schedule, and so when you go to book in, you're going to ask for your details, and then they're going to link you up to a flight and so forth. And we're kind of doing the same thing. We're booking people into particular times, into particular groups. And right now, what I assume most of you guys are using is perhaps a spreadsheet for your timetable, and you're using some kind of contact list. You might be using a spreadsheet for your contacts as well. And so your contacts are over in one place, and your student timetable is in another place, and they're not really connected in any way. And so each time you want to go and look at your timetable, you've got to kind of scroll through it, and you can do a search for a particular name, but generally it's a bit messy and a bit hard to find things. So the idea with FileMaker, the first core thing that it will do is that it will connect your student on the contact to where they are on the timetable. So you go to the contact and you find your student, let's say your student's called Joe Smith, and you find Joe Smith in the contact list because you need to give him a ring, and then you want to find where he is on the timetable. It'll just be one click of the button, and it'll go and find him on your timetable instantly where he is, and it'll even filter out that particular record, so you don't have to see all the other records there. You'll just see that one line on the timetable. And so when you're on the timetable, let's say you've just booked in a new student and you want to find a time for them, you'll be able to click a button that shows you all the available times. So instead of seeing all your whole timetable, you'll only see a cut down version of what's available, which again makes it very easy for you to find the times. And you can even print that, send it off to a student. If someone says, what are your available times? Just click available, print it, send it to them. And that will show them exactly what times are available. Now, the other thing is that you can then do all kinds of sorting. So anything you can imagine is what you're going to be able to do with it. So if you want to just look at all the Junior 1 groups, so you're trying to find a group for someone, or again, you want to print out what groups are available, so you can then hit J1, bang, it'll bring up all the Junior 1 groups, and then you can say, well, these are the times I got available. You can do things like look up a particular teacher. If you say, I want to see, if you've got multiple teachers at your school, you say, I just want to see, Alex's timetable or Joachim's timetable. Bang, away you go. So you can also hide times. So if you've got a schedule where you want to, you don't want to see, for instance, the time of Sunday at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock or in the morning, you don't use those times. You're not going to be booking anyone into those times, so you can just hide that line so it doesn't appear on your timetable at any point. You can then unhide it if you want, so it comes back up and is all visible. So you can see straight away the power of that. And on the contact side of things, You're going to have things like notes where you can keep notes on each and every student. You'll also have a notes section on a class, so you can keep notes on that particular class. You can delete the notes. You can keep them whatever you want to do. You can sort them into the different types. You can have a title for the note. You can have a date for the note. You can have a follow-up. So you can add other things to the notes that you want to do. You will then also be able to email directly to groups of students. So if you go to the contact of Joe Smith and you want to email Joe, then you just click on the email icon and it'll instantly start an email for him. It'll even put a title in saying G4 Guitar on your email, and then you can put in whatever you want there or paste in a particular email. And what I'm hoping to do is get templates, so you can actually click on a button. It will take the information from the enrollment, put it onto the email, and then email that out. So when you want to do a new enrollment, for instance, you can have all the details on the email. You click one button, bang, it sets up the email, and then you send it. So you can see the time saving in these kind of things, right? This is just some of what it can do. The other thing is that it's going to also do reports. So when you have a new student book in, say, you have, let's say in the week you booked in 10 students. Each of those students comes from different marketing sources. Some will come through your maybe a Facebook campaign, some through your flyers, some from your sign, some referrals, whatever. So as you enroll a student, you click on where they came from, the source, and then you can run a report that will show you where they're coming from. So it's going to keep stats on your data, on the value of your students, or predicted value on your marketing. You can put in each month. You can do a report on your marketing. So you say how much you spent on marketing, how many flyers you did, etc. So then you can compare it to the results. So the idea is that it's sort of bringing all the things that we need together into one very powerful program. It's still going to be a little while away. I'm going to hopefully test it with a couple of guys shortly, but it's going to take a little while before it's up and running. But I just want to sort of use this time to sort of tell you. Now, is there anything you guys can think of? I'll go through all of it, and I'll just start with you, Stu. Is there anything you can think of that you would like it to do?
Yeah, I think like just some way of just linking like the timetable when you're booking to the information that you've gathered from them into the call, and having that put into the contact. Some way of, I find that takes up a lot of time, particularly if you've got like a few inquiries in the day. The whole process of the call, then copying data from one spot to another spot and having to double check that, I find that is a little bit time consuming.
Okay, cool. So on the contact form, where let's say you get an inquiry right now, right? Mm-hmm. The idea is that you open up the program and you just click new, and it'll automatically populate some of the fields. It'll label as an inquiry. It will put them as a beginner student. It will add your location. So there's some fields that will already be filled in. And then you'll have things, just a few things, because I'm trying to keep it as quickly and easy as possible, because I'm thinking about you in that situation. So when you get the student's first name and last name, just put those in, get their email, get their phone number. They're the main things to capture. Yeah. And then where they came from, if you know, like from the marketing. If they book in, then you can book in their details, but like I said, you can go from there straight to the timetable. Just click of a button, it'll take you to the timetable, click available times, and it'll show you the available times, and you can say to the person on the phone, would Tuesday or Wednesday, what suits you best, and then you go the Wednesday, 4 o'clock, bang, you lock them in, but what happens is you don't have to type their name in when you choose Wednesday, 4 o'clock. If you've already added them to the contacts, all you have to do is click the drop-down list, and you will see their name. You just click on it. Right, and that will immediately link them to their contact. Then you go back to the contact, and it should still be on their contact. And now you can actually click next to them, find them on the timetable. And when you click the find them on the timetable, it will take you straight back to where they are on the timetable. Okay. Okay, Roger, anything you can think of that you'd wanted to do?
Let me get a student first, and then I'll let you know.
Yeah. Your early days, so yeah. You can pretty well manage everything on a piece of paper right now.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So, Joachim, anything that you can think of that wasn't mentioned?
I would. I was thinking of having a lot of statistics. So, for example, how long those students stay on average? What's the conversion for intro students? Like for each, like say there's a teacher doing intro lessons. Like what's that conversion rate per month? And how long do they stay per month? Like all these statistics.
Excellent. Yeah, because what I've done is also adding an end date. So there's a start date and an end date. So once the end date in there, it'll actually give the number of days that they were enrolled, and then it'll actually put a value on that student, an amount. And that way you can see, and that student is attached to a certain teacher, so you can look at that particular teacher and look at the value of each of their students and the total. And so it'll give you a report, and you can say, well, since you joined G4, you've had 100 students, and your average student is worth $500. So let's see if we can get up the average, and then you can look at a shorter period and go, well, let's see what you've done in more recent times. So yeah.
Great.
Cool. And Alex, anything you want to?
Yes, similar to Stu, maybe just a very clear, concise way to get from telephone call to that final email. And then, right now I have to put the data into 3 different places. I have to put into the email, I have to put it into the current student log, and then I also have to put it into my inquiry database. And then later, the old student list if they quit. So that's like, if somehow there was a way to streamline that data so that it was just routed to the appropriate points and the whole process could just be done in a few minutes, that would be perfect.
Yeah, I think you're gonna love it. It'll do exactly what you want it to do. Yeah, and that's the I've had questions, and really what I'm doing is programming it, setting it up. Sometimes the idea is there, but the programming of it takes a while. It can literally take a week to work it out how to get everything right. But it's all that'll be covered. They're the main things. I think I'm thinking about what's most important, and it's getting from the contact to the timetable, connecting those two is the first thing, because that's where you're spending a lot of your time, and it's where the errors, potential errors are. And really what this should do is remove any of those particular errors, and make your life easy. And this is just for you, Roger, just so you know, this is not something that you would really be looking at until you get to a certain amount of students. I think it's more for the teachers who have got at least 20 students for it to be, because you can manage a small number of students without needing this. So.
Right.
Okay, cool. All right, well, any last comments? Everybody good? Signing off. Thanks, guys.
Question: will it have like iPad? Is there like an iPad app for it, or?
It'll run on. You can run it on an iPad. It can run on what's called WebDirect, where you can run it, on an iPad or a desktop, whatever. And there's different versions of it that will run on those, even on a mobile. But what I have found though is with the web version, it's a bit slower. So if you want it quick, then what you need to do is get what's called the remote version, and that's where you'll actually have the FileMaker software on your computer, and it'll be running on your computer, and that way it runs very quick. It's the difference between using Google Docs and using Excel, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
It's constantly updating in the background when you're on the web. So I don't have
internet at Pasco Vale. I just tend to use the cellular data off my iPad. So yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, once you sort of get up and running, you'll probably, because it's still connected to the internet. The difference is that when it's like an Excel sheet being connected to the internet, it's still backing up the file to the internet. but it's not running live, if that makes any sense.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Oh, but it'll have, sorry, David, it'll have just at a glance like the total number of students, yeah, like just immediately, right? You just get look at the number.
You'll be able to do, just to add to that quickly, is that you'll be able to click one button and it'll tell you each category, how many inquiries you've got, how many leads you've got, how many students you've got booked, how many current enrolled, so everything, and then you'll be able to bring up a list of, you can click on a list of any of those, and so if you've got leads, which people who are keen but haven't booked yet, they're the people that you want to start ringing. So you'll be able to, it's kind of like Salesforce in that sense, that it'll give you lists of the students you want to contact to follow up. You'll also be able to have a follow-up list. I've also put in a to-do list on the front of the dashboard, which will allow you to sort it. You can categorize it, and that way you can put whatever you need to get done, you put that on there, and then you can sort it in whatever priority, and that way you can immediately open up to this one program. The idea is it does everything for you that you're going to be spending. Really, it's not going to do accounts at this point because QuickBooks is just too good. I wouldn't advise you not, because QuickBooks is all linked up to your bank accounts and all that, so it's very powerful in that sense, so we don't need to sort of reinvent that wheel, but it'll do everything else. So. But you can still nominate things like your intro students, as an example. You put a date in that they're going to end, so when you put them onto the timetable, you can then put the date that they're going to finish their, it'll automatically work out a date on the contact form, so it'll tell you what date that they finish your intro. You put in the start date, and then it'll tell you the end date. But on the timetable, you then add the end date of that particular intro student. And then you can hit a button which will sort and show only the dates of people ending the intro and in order as well. So someone who's overdue, someone who's due, with people who are kind of coming due. So it'll just immediately look at all your intros and where they're at as far as their intro status.
Just one more really quick question.
Yeah, sure.
As far as follow-ups go, like if you've is there going to be space for follow-up procedures, just to kind of prompt you, like if you've called and they've said, oh, I'll call you back, and then there's you want to call them back in a day's time and leave a message, then a couple of days later you just want to call them, will there be a sort of basically like a checklist almost to prompt you to do?
Yeah, there'll be like a follow-up button. So what you're going to do is that on each contact, you can put a follow-up date in there for anything, no matter what it is. Just put a follow-up date, and then you'll click a button that says follow-ups, and you'll go and you'll see a list in most urgent to least urgent, based on date. And then you'll see one that says, you're supposed to follow up yesterday or a week ago. That'll be sitting at the top. And that'll all be in date order, so oh gee, I better call this person. So you can click on it as soon as you log in.
That's what I need. I forget so much stuff.
Yeah, it's been one of these things that I've been thinking about for years, and having run schools for so long, I just see this is really a big part of it. Efficiency. People don't want to be kept waiting. People don't want you messing around with timetables. And the less mistakes you make, the better for everybody. The less stress, the less problems, the less student dropouts. Some people are unforgiving if you mess up their timetable, or mess up their time. There's nothing like someone turning up and going, "Hey, this is my lesson time," and you go, "Oh, sorry, I double booked you. Could you come back later?" It's certainly not the best way to do it. So, okay. Monty, we're just signing off now, but I've got another meeting up with Chris in a minute. If you want to join me there, I'll send you a link, Monty.
Okay. I just saw on Facebook that you were doing it.
Yeah, I'll send you another minute because I'm going to hook up with Chris in just a sec. So
okay.
For you guys, I know the time difference. So. All right. Okay. Thanks, guys. And
okay. Thanks.
See you all next week.
See ya.
Bye, guys.
Take care.